and they can come on down now. And that's going to be the ultimate goal. Trying to talk them down before any NYPD officer has to go out. Yeah, getting them down to safety at this point. We're unsure of any protest group that these two individuals may be associated with. They've been up there for now 30 plus minutes with the eyes of the world watching. We would hate to see other people have to get up to help them. The best case scenario, as Terry has been mentioning, is for these two individuals to find a way to come down safely. Again, we have to point out the elements because it's 86 88 plus degrees, the heat index much higher than that. Wind could be a factor. These conditions are exceptionally precarious for these two individuals and other people. But Terry, I do want to talk about this breach of security, because if you've been to the Empire State Building, really the only way that guests can find themselves up there is by buying a ticket. You would get to the observation deck, and we do know that there is a security wall in place to prevent, for lack of a better phrase, any kind of shenanigans, right? They want to keep people safe who are visiting. Yeah, absolutely. This is a major break in their security. I'm just looking at Empire State Building side. It's exceptionally humid. If you take a look right now, they're beginning to make their way down the spire. Now, keep in mind, this is basically what's called urban free soloing. Some people call it buildering. These are untethered climbers, and they appear to be coming down on their own, and let's hope that that's the case is actually a really good sign. I mean, this is an incredibly difficult and dangerous situation. The NYPD absolutely has the ability and is trained to be able to go up and try to talk to these two individuals to get them down. They were involved in a high-profile incident recently where there was an individual who was suicidal. They were out on the ledge of a very tall skyscraper here in the building. Because of the nature of that incident, we would not have broadcasted live. This is extremely unusual, and so that's the reason why we're focusing on it now. The NYPD Aviation is there. Their Bell 419 helicopter is up over the scene. That's one of their newer aircraft that they have the ability to have as detailed a camera as we have. They can send that information, stream it back to every NYPD executive, including to the smartphones of the officers who are no doubt arriving up there now, harnessing up and getting ready to put up their rigging to try to go up there, or at least talk to these individuals. If they come down on their own, that would be a great thing for all involved. That would mean that they would be uninjured, and it would mean that there would be no risk of injury to officers. To get to your question, Sam, as far as the security breach, look, this is going to raise enormous questions. This is almost frankly difficult to watch. I have bit of a fear of heights, so we're all feeling the same way, right? Keep an eye on the rebels. I'm going to look at you guys for just a quick second here. So basically, this building has the public component. People can go up to the observatory there, right? There's tight screening and security for that. You also have the fact that those are active antennas. They are transmitting right now radio and television in the tri-state area, so there's a huge electrical risk and a risk to them potentially as far as their safety just being around that equipment, let alone the exposure to RF radio frequency that would be existing up there. That's a known risk. So that's something that will obviously be concerning. So you have that risk as well. And then, did they get up through where the maintenance is done on those transmitters? So the transmitters are on a separate floor in a separate area, and there is roof access there. I'm not going to get into all the details because I really don't want to have to do this again with people getting access to it. But there is a way to get up there. And there is a way to be able to get up to these floors, and then to be able to do the maintenance on that transmission equipment. If you look to the individual whose back is to us, there's kind of a gray column on the right-hand side. That is an active antenna, and so they would need to do maintenance on that from time to time. This harkens back to an incident. Remember, my colleague Jonathan Dienst and I happened to be at a private social event one night, and I called Jonathan because their cameras spotted sparks coming off of the Empire State Building after a high-profile terror arrest. I was concerned. He was concerned. We didn't know that they were doing maintenance on the top of the tower, but we wondered if somebody had gotten access to it. So, yes, there is access for people to be able to get up there and do the work. But obviously, enormous security questions here. How were they able to get up there? Tom, as we are watching these surreal images, I think this is live pictures from Chopper 4 from WNBC here in New York. It does appear that these two people are climbing down on their own. They do not appear to be wearing any sort of ropes or climbing apparatus at all. And it looks like at least the person on top has some sort of hood with cat ears or like a Batman-like mask. Talk about what kind of potential criminal charges they could be facing for carrying out this stunt. Yeah, criminal trespassing, and then they'll try to add any potential charges from there because obviously they'll be concerned about, making sure that there's enough of a deterrent and then, any sort of interruption of commerce or things like that. So it does appear that they're putting away maybe that flag or that area where there's equipment. They're now much lower. They're on a lower section. There's still transmission equipment below them, so there's still antennas. Yeah, they are not out of the woods when it comes to safety at this point. One of those right there taking something out of a backpack at this point, a long stick or pole. Yeah, I couldn't tell if they were putting that away or they were taking it out. I agree with you, Vicky. There's no indication they're wearing any sort of climbing harness or any sort of something that will allow them to hook into the supports, which, by the way, are there for the maintenance people I was talking about before. And at what point, Tom, would law enforcement intervene? And did I hear you correctly that you said these are the same two individuals that have attempted something? No, that was a separate incident many years ago. But just to highlight the fact that, this is a concern, but also to highlight the fact that there is maintenance that is done on it. So there is access to this area of the roof, and that maintenance is not done by helicopter. When would law enforcement intervene? Let the NYPD is already there. Their aviation unit is already there. They're ready to fly at a moment's notice. They can get from their base to this area within 10 minutes if they're not already in the air, and they're frequently up for all sorts of things. So yeah, they can get there. They are aware of the access to this, and the emergency services unit, in order to graduate, they have to climb up the Brooklyn Bridge in harnesses. That's something that's part of their training. But you're looking at them there now that we've widened out. They look like they're setting something up. They have, there's still fairways above the ground and a decent spot above the area where they would be, where they would be in safety. So who knows what they're going to do from here? The good news is at least they're on a platform. The winds are not too serious today, so that's good news. And the good news is there's also a lot of coordination between the news helicopters in New York City amongst themselves, and among air traffic control, as well as NYPD aviation. But at least at this point, they're on their 2 feet on a firm surface. You look, it's July 1st. We are 3 days away from having Sail 250, and you have all these World Cup matches going on, and just thousands upon thousands of tourists coming into New York City. We're listening to the NYPD briefing the area on the steps they're taking to keep people safe, while simultaneously 2 people have scaled the spire of the Empire State Building. If you're law enforcement and you're seeing this unfold while you're trying to calm and assuage people that everything is under control for the coming days, I guess, how do you thread that needle? Well, this is private property, so the security and the day-to-day operations of the Empire State Building, and now they're hugging Zelma. That's all. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The live pictures, they look like. Is this a proposal? No. They're making out on this platform, on the Empire State Building, after setting up what is some kind of a pole on that little orange, looks like a selfie stick. Perhaps it does look like a GoPro stick. This is absolutely bonkers. Here he is on one knee. It looks like he's opening up a jewelry box here. Well, I might be on a little bit of a delay if you're on a beautiful, all the way what the audience is seeing too. You're absolutely right. That does look like a GoPro on a selfie stick. Whether this is for some sort of personal feat, or it's to make a political point, or it's completely unrelated to all of that, seeing all of this, and by the way, one of the people out there is apparently taking pictures of their finger right now. So the engagement ring thing, their idea that this is a proposal, whatever the